We're holding here Semich ShiurShabbos, Seif Vav. Misanenes a sifter shenatsa machad. We put inside of it mustard seeds, misananai to sift them. So to really put there before Shabbos. Muta litin. Now you want to add beya, egg. Afapisha hachelmoin yerid lamata im hachadol. So what you're doing here is basically you have mustard, you want to give it a color, so you put in an egg, a raw egg, the white stays up, and the yellow, the chelboin is the yellow goes down, and you want the mustard to look yellow, so you add some egg to it, some of the yolk of the egg, and therefore it goes through the sifter, the yellow, and the white stays up. It's okay, and it's not called boirer. The big question there is, why isn't that called boirer when you're separating the yellow from the white? So the Magen Avraham speaks out over here. Chazara Siman. Since they're both called an oichel, and you're not separating them to eat, you're only separating them in order to give color to the mustard. If you're doing it in order to eat the chelmoin, the yolk, aser, the masha and the right to lechal mikri psaris v'havale boirer. So basically, what the Magen Avraham is saying here is the reason why it's not boirer is because you're not separating to eat it. You're separating it for the color, to the yellow for the color. And therefore, it's not called boirer. We had before in the beginning of the Siman that if you have two foods together and you're separating one because you want to eat one and not the other, it is called boirer. So you have to take the oichel and take hapselis. Here, he's saying that since you're not doing it to eat, it's not called boirer. It's a big question. So why isn't that called boirer? So I'm not separating it to eat it. I'm separating it because I want the yellow to give color. So why isn't it called boirer?
There's lots of boirer things that happen.
Right. Sperm, clothing.
Yeah.
There's lots of boirer things that you it's not called boirer. It's called boirer even though you're not doing it to eat. So what does he mean over here? Since you're not doing it to eat, therefore it's not called boirer. So we look a little in the continuation of the Magen Avraham. He says, Ayin Seif Gimel because of the min echad la shayach breira. The tzarich loyma dehach machshava beis minim. Here it's called two minim. V'chemashva bach v'lavosh. Al mashak safli Seif Gimel shem agamish the mashma lezem mikri min echad. Now v'chabes u'mishamer. Kem mashma shimin shin chav. V'laso schitu v'shem boish hakal min echad. So it says like this, he's bothered by, the Magen Avraham is bothered that if you're doing it to eat it, it's called boirer. And we had min echad, is not called boirer. Sometimes one thing is not called boirer. It has to be, that's what we had with the leaves. If you remember, we had the alam ha-mu'fashim in the Magen Avraham in the beginning of the Siman, we spoke out that since it's all leaves, it's only when one of the leaves is any royal achila. It's not right to eat it, therefore it becomes a pselis. But as long as it's right to eat it, then you can separate it.
Two together.
It's called 1 min and you can separate it. So he says over here also an egg is mashma only over here when you're doing it for the kol. So the Magen Avraham comes from the opposite end. He doesn't understand why it's boirer b'chlal even if I'm separating it to eat it. Let's say I only want the yellow and not the white. So the Magen Avraham has a kasha, l'chayr it's min echad. The min echad should not be a boirer b'chlal. Says the Magen Avraham that it's a kasha over here, but 1 minute it's not shaykh boirer. And what is raya? His raya is because schita, what's schita? He's squeezing out the juice from fruit. And now we know, we'll see with Hashem, we'll start schita today. In Hilchas schita, we don't find any isser boirer. Schita is only squeezing out the juice from the fruit. Why isn't every schita a boirer? Every time he's taking out the juice from the fruit, is separating the liquid from the solid. So why isn't that an issa boirer? Says the Magen Avraham, why not? It's all 1 min. It's called one thing. So it's not shaykh boirer and 1 min. This is he said, it's good to know. I think we stressed in the last time also that schita is not boirer because boirer is only when it's 2 minim. mixed together. As long as it's considered one min, it's not called bayram. We had it also in the simon before by the fish with the bones. The bialacha wanted to be makel because fish and bones is called one min. Until you finish separating it, then it becomes abseilus. But while it's together, it's called one min. He wants to have a kula. That's why you pull out the bones from the fish even before you put it into your mouth. Min echad is not called bayram. So really, when you have a chelmoin and a chelboin, it's considered one min, and therefore it should not be called bayram b'chlal. That's why the Magen Avram is bothered over here. Why, if it's master from the mechaber, only if you're doing it in order to give color, it's not bayram. But if you're doing it in order to eat it, and you don't want one of them, then it is called bayram. Right, the Magen Avram, why is that called bayram? It's chayim min echad. So he says, "Nechayim lidach iprushai tavamina da chelboin nikra pseiles kivin she'eni royal echad kach." The chelmoin will be considered pseiles. So it comes out that chiddush, the Magen Avram, that the reason why you have chelmoin and chelboin together, and you separate in order to eat one, it's called bayram, because one is called a pseiles. That's why. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called a bayram. But when I'm doing it legavein, I'm doing it for a color of the mustard, then already it's not called bayram. So the Magen Avram, and the Machzor Shekel, he learns the Magen Avram, that the Magen Avram is going to say the reason why over here it's not called bayram, even though I want one and not the other, and I'm doing it for a color, it has to be you're not doing it to eat, because if you're doing it to eat, one becomes a pseiles, and also it has to be it's min echad. So the whole heter over here by the chelma and the chelba is because it's min echad, and you're not doing it to eat. But for bishtei minim, is mashma, it would be bayram. So that's the way we're going to stay. There's other pshatim here. There's a lot of different pshatim said in this mechaber why it's not bayram. We're going to stay with the Magen Avram's pshat with the Machzor Shekel. That the reason why it's not bayram is because it starts off as min echad. And min echad, there is no bayram unless you're doing it for oichel. Then it becomes a bayram. It becomes a pseiles, and it's a bayram.
What about if you have a liquid in a solid?
Yeah.
Is it bayram by a liquid in a solid?
Yes. A liquid is not bayram. We'll see in a second. If you have a fly in your soup, it's called bayram.
Does that kula of the fish bones also apply to like chicken bones?
Same thing.
Chicken.
Yeah, it's also min echad.
Pull out the bones of wings or pull out the bones of chicken.
The master of bialacha doesn't come out of the hakel so easily.
Is that the Maria Balafia that you're saying? Because we don't pass them like that.
Right, that's one cool. But the next one, the first one is the Maria Balafia and the Ritz Haloin. Then the next one, it goes through it again, and it is makel a shtickle with the fish bones. It is makel. It says the Maria Balafia and the Ritz Haloin are not talking about fish bones. They're talking about bachlal.
Right,
the Maria Balafia is makel that while I'm eating, I'm separating so there is no bar bachlal.
On the plate.
On the plate. We'll see there's different levels. The next Seif, we'll see it when it's right by the mouth. Everyone agrees.
That's their chila.
That's their chila. It's called eating.
Yeah.
That's the Maria Balafia.
Everybody agrees by the mouth.
Yeah, we'll see in the next Seif.
Right.
But in the next bialacha, the bialacha speaks about the fish bones. So there is mitzarv to Maria Balafia, it's b'shas achila, and it's min echad. Therefore, he wants to be mekel. The Gemara says that's a pasha that is mekel. He says those will take it out before you start to do the. It's min echad. It shouldn't be boiling. He doesn't like that. He says those will do it while they're eating. Yes, I'm milismoich, and he says not so bad. People are very, people are very makbid with some people are very makbid with the chicken. They make sure they pull the chicken away from the bone, not the bone away from the chicken. You definitely keep a semich in the bialacha. So you don't have to be careful.
Between fish and chicken.
No, same thing. Same idea. Same thing. And the fish bones.
Yeah.
You don't have to be careful to make sure you're pulling away the fish from the bone, not the bone from the fish while you're eating it. Yeah, but you have to be semich because it's min echad. So that's how we're going to learn this halacha, this heter of misanenes and also b'chadol. It's min echad, and you're not doing it for achil.
Two quick questions. Number one is that of course applies to skin in the bones as well. If you're pulling
Correct.
the same thing.
Yeah, skin is more kal because skin you have to pull it away to get to the inside. It's like peeling.
Skin would be mutter because it's klipa.
Yeah, so
No,
it's pull away.
skin is
It's a pull it away to get
Well,
to the
some
inside.
people eat the skin, that's a very...
Yeah, if you eat it for sure, it's okay. Yeah, if you eat it for sure, it's okay.
Okay, so the second thing is, in this
Lots of
situation
people
here,
eat
what about the issue of coloring of the spa, right?
Yes, it's not called coloring, yeah, it's not called coloring.
It is.
It's not coloring it, no, it's not called coloring it.
Here?
You
With the-
No.
put it down for the color. That's not.
Well, you put it down for the color, but it's not called coloring. First of all, it's Shviur Boicha.
Right.
We pass on Shviur Boicha. Anyway, it's not a problem. You could color food. Food you could color.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, it's food, that's what you could color. You want to add
The yellow of the
seltzer.
chalma, I've never done this before, but does it like just coat the seeds, or does it mamish the yellow get into it?
No, that's what I'm saying. When you mix it in, I don't know if it gets into the seeds, it's just a mixture. The whole mixture becomes different color.
It becomes more yellow.
I don't know if that's called coloring, but anyway, Shviur Boicha is not a problem. You want to pour your grape juice into the seltzer, you could do it.
Mm.
Even though you color in the water, the seltzer, you bring it to color in the seltzer, it's fine. You don't have to make it after to pour the grape juice in, then the seltzer on top of it. You do it the other way. So that's the head over here of the Mesanenes. Yeah, so the Mishnah Mashmi goes with this svara. Also, that the svara the Matzah Shekel, that if it's min echad and you're not doing it for achila, it's mutter. If you're eating it, then one becomes abseilas. So now, another important thing to speak out, the Chayim speak out over here is that this whole question that we had to begin with, it's beider, because you want the chel boin and not the chel moin, you want the chel moin and not the chel boin, you want the yellow, not the white. They're saying it's only because you want one of them. But it's mashma, if it's the essence separating, if you don't need any of them, wouldn't be a boiler. I think I spoke to that last time also. Therefore, if you're separating two things, not because you need any of them, the example we gave was the drain of the sink. You pour in food into the sink, and the drain separates the solids from the liquids. So why isn't that a boiler? So the answer to that is, it's not called a boiler because since you don't need any of them, it's not called a boiler. The whole question over here starts because you need one of them. The garbage, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you throw it to the side.
Yeah, the garbage is also the same thing.
What do you mean by recycle versus?
Yeah, you have 3 different garbages.
Right.
You have to separate all the garbages, so it's not called boiler because you don't need any of them.
Or even if you have on your plate, you're going to throw in the garbage.
Even though some people want to say,
Right? You throw it.
it happens to be a good svara, of course you have to do machmer with it, that's only the regular garbage, but the recycling, you separate to keep it. You separate to recycle it. You're not just throwing it into the garbage.
So you're going to get it back.
You're not keeping it.
Eventually you get it back, yeah. Yeah, if you separate things, both of them you don't need, so you're throwing it into the garbage and none of them, fine. For example, regular garbage and the green bin, it's different garbage to the way they get rid of it. But something you're recycling, so you want it, so you're keeping it.
Yeah, I don't think.
So some people want to
You
say,
want the garbage guys to take it. That's all you want.
that's all you want. You don't care for it. You don't care for it. I mean, there will be a way out. You always remove the recycling because it's the oichel from the pseudus.
Oh, that's true too.
You
Right.
take the recycling, separate the recycling from the rest.
Right.
So that'll be fine. But I don't know if you have to map around that. I don't know if it's called that you want it. You just want to get, like you said, you want to get out of your house. And you want to make sure you don't get a garbage audit. But, yeah. Fine, so that's that halacha. It's important to remember these kolim of that min echad is not really called a boiler. Okay, tezayin. Mayim sheyesh behem teloim. Water that has in the bugs mutal shtoisan. You're allowed to drink the water ayidei mappa b'Shabbos through a mappa, a handkerchief. Klashayach boiler u'mishamer el b'saken inyan koydem or achila before you're eating, by shtia or drinking. Avol b'shah shtia ma'akev es abseiler shalei kanos atech piv. Ein zem and melacha or mutter. It's not called boiler. So here, this is a level after the Maria Balafia and the Mitzalom. Maria Balafia and Mitzalom we're talking about when it's in your plate. You're separating it and then you're eating it. The Maria Balafia says that case also is called derech achila. That's a machlokes. Here, the Mechaber is talking about while you're drinking it, as it's going into your mouth, it's keeping out the pselis. That everyone agrees is not called a boirer, and that's called a achila.
Why is it?
And therefore it's mutter. Why?
Why is it not misakin? I understand it's not rare. Why isn't it misakin?
What's misakin?
You're misakin the water to make it drinkable, because before that you wouldn't have drunk it.
What's the problem with misakin actually?
It's unclear.
No problem. I've taken by. We had Makabapatish, we had by the Kolis Ispinis, Shinit Ches. That was the whole thing over there, that there's nothing wrong with fixing food to eat it.
Unless you go back to the ShiurShabbos.
Yeah, no, ShiurShabbos.
Misakin?
No, that's Tikkun Eichlin. That's a din burden. That's the Issa burden. The Malach is burden, not Tikkun. ShiurShabbos.
It's not Malach Shein, it's Malach Shein Tzricha L'Gufa.
It's Malach Tzricha L'Gufa holds, because
Kasha was that it's a Malach Shein Tzricha L'Gufa. Then he answers.
It's Malach Tzricha L'Gufa. Why?
Because it's Misakin.
Because it's Misakin the food. Not that the Issa now is Tikkun Mona. The Issa is an Issa burden.
In other words,
The Issa is an Issa burden. What's the Issa burden? The Issa burden is when you fix the food through boiler. But fixing food is not an Issa.
But isn't that what I'm doing with the suitor?
Yeah, but it's not boiler. It has to be an Issa burden. The fixing is not the problem. It's when you're fixing through a Maitzer boiler, says the ShiurShabbos, that is the Maitzer boiler. But the Malach is a Malach's boiler. It's not a Malach from Sakan Mana. What's boiler? Boiler is when you're removing things from the food and you're fixing the food. But you can't coin that as the Malach is Tikkun Mana. That's not what the ShiurShabbos is saying. Here, when you're sifting it while you're eating it, of course you're fixing it. But the issue is not the fixing it, this is the Maitzer boiler. This is not called the Maitzer boiler. Because yeah, it's while you're eating it. That would be a good raya that the ShiurShabbos is not saying Tikkun Mana. I don't know if you need a raya, it doesn't say that, but it's the Issa is an Issa boiler. What's the Issa boiler? The Issa boiler is when the food becomes v'sukin through taking out the pselis. That's the ShiurShabbos.
It's Malach Tzricha L'Gufa, right?
It's Tzricha L'Gufa of boiler, not Tikkun Mana.
Right.
So here you have a heter. While you're eating, it's mutter to sift and therefore you it's mutter to drink something that has a thing by the lid that holds back the pselis. It's no problem to drink that way because it's not called boiler. So if you look in the Taz here, famous Taz, Seif Kohen Gimel Aydei Mappa Aymash Ksaftim Zeb Semich ShiurShabbos Sifal Be'inyam Mitzitzis Peres. Okay, Aymash Ksaftim Zeb Semich Tofik Lavid. Yes, Issa Kishanayfim Zvuvim L'Kois. Shal Yotzi has Zvuvim L'Vadom L'Kois. You now take out the fly by itself. To have like a boiler pselis. Elayikach Min Amashke Chazara Siman. Take out some of the mashka with it, and therefore you're not being boiler pselis with the eichel. You're taking part of the eichel together with the pselis, and therefore it's okay.
Another question: worms are trace, so how can you drink the water where the worm has been in?
Who said it gave taste into it? It didn't give taste into it. It's cold and cold. If it's hot, and you're right. If it's hot, then maybe it gave time into it. But it's nice and time of gam.
Right.
It's nice and time of
We had
gam.
the mouse.
Right, it had the mouse.
Yeah.
It's called the nice and time of gam. Since it gives a bad taste, you don't have to worry about the taste.
So it doesn't trace up the water.
No,
You're safe.
you're safe.
Still doing it.
Yeah.
So drink.
Don't worry. You're good to go.
Don't drink lots of water.
Rav Shlomo Zalman makes a difference between one fly and multiple flies.
Exactly. Why would
He says one fly is what we've been discussing. He says if you have multiple flies, now you have an Indian Masakin.
Anybody drinks water with flies in it?
What do you mean?
Really?
The
He
Mexicans.
says, Shimon Kuzarim Hardis Vuvim Mashke, then it's also Shima Filo in Noitel Cold
You know that the
Cold
best
Food without Mashke.
Mexican
I don't know it's
Because he says, Harigum Bisakin is a Mashkin and Nishar.
better this.
Wow.
But
It's a big comment.
it's based on a different idea. Now, the whole idea is if you have if you have a fly in liquid, right? How
Right.
much is it mu'urav or not?
Right, so he's learning. I mean, Patrick learned that when you take out, when you're being bitter, taking out. This is all told in the ShiurShabbos, right? When you have bitter, you're taking something out of food, right? So the issa bitter is going to take out the psalus from the eichel. That's the issa. So what's the heter over here? The heter, I'm not taking out the psalus from the eichel. I'm taking out some eichel with it.
Right.
So I'm not taking out the psalus from the eichel. Now, if you have a bunch of flies, the whole thing is undrinkable. And you take out each fly with some liquid. So I'm not doing any ma'aser bitter. Because every time I'm taking it out, I'm taking out some liquid with it. Because what Shabbos Lama says that no, since till now you couldn't drink it, there's too many flies in there. By the time you finished, now what's left over you could drink. He just fixed the oichel. So that's a ma'aser bitter. That's only with the ShiurShabbos that the ma'aser bitter is not the psalus they're taking out. The ma'aser bitter is what's left over inside. So till now you had something you couldn't eat, and now it's something that I could eat. So I was masakin my thing I did bitter. It's a very big chumrah. Because
I didn't understand it that way. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, if you have one thing it comes down to like what is considered mu'urav. In other words, if something which is not bitter has to be something which is you're taking out something which is mu'urav inside. So one fly is not necessarily mu'urav.
So then why not take it out with some eichel then? Take it out by itself.
So that's a chumrah of the tash.
It's a chumrah, yeah.
That's, in other words, maker din, maybe
you
not.
take it out without it?
No, but he's saying that this heter is not going to work. In other words, this heter is not going to work because at this point you can't call it any. It is mu'urav. In other words, by the fly you can say it's not mu'urav.
You're saying the fly is not mu'urav?
One fly
and
is
you really
not
should
mu'urav.
not take out
But
liquid with it?
multiples, many, is already mu'urav. It's already part of that. That's already going to be inside. How much are you going to take out? You're going to take out you have multiple. You're
And if it's mu'urav, so what? Let's say it's mu'urav, and therefore what? But I'm taking it, I'm not doing it myself, but I'm taking some eichel with it. That's not what I'm doing now. Is I'm taking out a fly with a eichel. That's not a ma'aser bitter.
Could you say as far as something like that, since it's completely inedible beforehand, now each ma'aser of taking out
Is making it edible.
is making it
Yes, I'm
edible.
saying
So
that's
now even though you're taking with actually,
But that's what he's saying.
so it becomes it's like that soup is psolas now.
right.
It's not the soup and the fly is two different things. It's they're both psolas. You're taking them all out, so you actually done order.
This far. The whole soup is psalus because you can't eat it because of the flies. So you're taking out some liquid with the fly. It's all psalus. By the time you finish taking it out, now you're making it an eichel. Interesting svara. The truth is, it's all totally in the ShiurShabbos. I mean, bitter is one of the most lamdish malachas that there is, and a lot of it is based about this svara. Is now that we're finishing the Siman already, we know a lot of the cases of bitter, and the question is, what is bitter? Is bitter because I'm taking out psalus from eichel, I'm taking out the bad from the good, so that itself is a ma'aser bitter. Just taking out bad from the good is a ma'aser bitter. Or no, the ma'aser bitter is, like the ShiurShabbos says, that I fixed something that wasn't right to eat. I had something which I can't eat because there's psalus inside. I took out the psalus, now I could eat it. That is the ma'aser bitter. There's a big difference between the two cases.
Right.
Between the two.
But does the ShiurShabbos also extend that to non-edible? Or that only works with edible?
No, even non-edible.
It would also work?
Whatever, you can't use it. Not usable. So it's not usable because there's something inside of it and you can't use it. I mean, separate it out, it's usable. So if you look at the ma'aser bitter, that the issue is, I made something that was unusable, usable through taking out the psalus. That's the ShiurShabbos. And then you can understand the Shlomo Zalman's chumrah. But if you learn the ma'aser bitter has nothing to do with making it usable, ma'aser bitter is just taking out bad from the good. Okay, akasha. But that's the ShiurShabbos kasha. It's malachas. I'm taking out the bad. I don't need the bad. So how can you say pulling out the bad is my isser of bitter? That's not my isser of bitter. My isser of bitter is that I'm making the food better. Because taking out the bad is a malachas. I don't need the bad. So some achronim will argue in the ShiurShabbos and say, yeah, even though you're pulling out the bad, it's not called the Malacha Tzricha L'Gufa, it's called the Malacha Tzricha L'Gufa because it's pulling out the bad. Fine. Shus Yaakov argues. So these two ways of looking at Boyer makes a lot of big nafkaminas. And one of them we're talking about this case. If you have a bunch of flies in the soup, and you take them all out, so you ended up fixing the soup, that's called Ma'aser Boyer. Without the Shus Yaakov L'Chayr, as long as each time I'm taking something out, it's not a Ma'aser Boyer, then it should be okay. Basically, the way you have to look at it is to look at Ma'aser Boyer, the finished product, and now it's Royal Achila, a collective act of a bunch of pulling out pieces, or no, is a Ma'aser Boyer each pulling out a bad piece of Malacha by itself?
How many legs are
I
there?
think we're saying the same. You're saying that the svara is that with multiple flies, the soup is bad?
Right. No, but he's saying is, yeah, but no, he's saying is that it's not called that I'm taking out oichel with it. As long as there's so many flies inside, the soup is called absurdus also.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, certainly the part that the fly touched.
No, he's saying that's only I'll get that in a second.
Yeah.
And now the problem is
Yeah, I'll get that in a
when
second.
there's one fly in the soup,
Then you got a bird.
there's no tikkun because the soup is good. It's just got a fly in it.
Right, so that would depend how you look at the Ma'aser Boyer.
Right.
There's a lot of big
All
nafkaminas.
of it is that's a soup.
Yeah.
That's a soup.
It's true though,
That's
isn't
a
it?
soup. That's a fly soup.
It is different. It's not
Right.
negative.
So there you're being misaken.
Yeah.
But the other one, there's no misaken. There's no
Yeah.
tikkun.
Yeah.
No, that would be a big nafkamina. This chakira, what Boyer is, will be a big nafkamina. Another nafkamina is the Prima Gadol you mentioned on the way in. That when you have something that's full of dirt, and you pull out some of it, not the rest of it. Did I do a Ma'aser Boyer or not? Was it over on Boyer or not? I have something, there was some pieces inside not edible, and I pulled out 5 pieces, another 25 pieces left inside, and it's still not edible. Did I do an issa or not?
That's taka worse maybe, right? Because at least if you're doing it to make it edible, you could say I'm doing it derech achila. Here you're doing it just for nothing.
No, but I wasn't masakin. According to Shus Yaakov, you didn't fix anything. It's still not edible.
You have 20
So you weren't over the Ma'aser Boyer.
mushrooms, but you can probably stomach 1 or 2 that's
Right,
buried in
that's
there,
a good
right?
example.
So you take out, most of the mushrooms, but you leave to whatever.
No. So that I think even according to Shus Yaakov is a Ma'aser Boyer, because the Ma'aser now you can stomach it. So now you gained. I'm talking about a case where there's tons of mushrooms inside, and you took out 5 of them,
And you give up.
and you give up. Yeah, you still can't eat it.
No, then there's no kunz. The whole thing.
Right.
According to Shus Yaakov, it's not a Ma'aser Boyer. Without the Shus Yaakov, every time you pull out a mushroom,
You have to have a massage.
it's
You have to have
a masakin at the end.
Uh-huh.
Without the Shus Yaakov,
But-
every time I pull out one mushroom, that itself is a Ma'aser Boyer.
But according to the Prima Gadol, it would also not be a problem,
Yeah.
right?
So as long as you leave some oichel behind,
Yeah,
you
because
no longer have a din of
Right.
shur.
Both you would have.
Right.
So the thing is that if you take out 80% of the mushrooms, or it's 90%, and now I can eat it.
that's for sure it's a problem. That's for
Not-
sure.
Not
Maybe
according to
not.
Prima Gadol.
Prima
No,
Gadol
I think even for the Prima Gadol, it's called it's a problem. I think the Prima Gadol was talking in a case where he took some out and he didn't get anything yet. We'll check it up again.
Yeah.
Prima Gadol.
What has the Prima Gadol have?
Mishnah says
What
cut and use gimel.
for?
Huh?
Prima Gadol, what is his?
He says that if you took out some and you didn't take out the rest, it's not called the Ma'aser Boyer yet.
See cut and use gimel.
It's not called the Ma'aser Boyer yet. Now it depends. If you call them every time you pull out bad as a Ma'aser Boyer, then it's a problem. If you say that you have to fix it,
You have to look at the end result.
it wasn't. Yeah, it's the end result and it wasn't fixed. So maybe it's not a Ma'aser Boyer. And where are we here?
The Mishnah says,
Shouldn't
"Oh,
it
cut and
test?
use gimel."
Shin and test, Mishpat says.
Originate.
Yeah, okay. Let's figure out what that means. Well, that's a good Shad and Bayer, and the first of Siman Bayer. It's good to have this in mind of exactly what Bayer is. Okay.
But here's one last question. Like in all cases of bar, if you're taking also some of the good with the bad, is that a fix?
Oh, that's a fixed heter.
A general fix.
That's a general fix. Take some of the good with the bad. It's a general fix. You spoke about before. You asked the question before. There's a Shulchan Aruch Harav that's very against this house. He doesn't hold that pulling out some of the oichel with it is not called bayr. But the Ma'aseh, he took out the bad from the good. So he took some good with it, so what? Now there are some poskim that say today that taking out a fly from a soup with some food around it is not even the Taz's heter. Why? Because the reason why you're taking out some of the good around it is because the whole area around the fly you don't like.
Yeah,
Right? The fly touched it.
Yeah.
So you're taking out the whole area around it because it's also part of the psoilus. So you won't gain. What they say is...
But when you have fat on a piece of meat, you don't want to give up too much of the meat, and the heter is...
So there because you want the meat.
Right.
There you want the meat. So if you take some of the meat with it,
then it's very good.
That's good. But here, the problem is that you don't want the food around the fly. You want it out also. You have to take more than that.
More than that.
You have to take more than you would normally take out.
Right.
That's what you have to take out.
That would be the Shulchan Aruch Harav?
No, Shulchan Aruch Harav is even not nowadays. Shulchan Aruch Harav is like the whole heter. It says pulling out a fly from soup with some oichel with it, even the fats and the meat you won't be matter. That's not called not bayr. Just because it takes some oichel with it.
Even the what about chicken? Like chicken bones or
even if there's some chicken left on the bone, he won't have it as a heter. We use it as a heter. Chicken bones, fish bones. You pull some out, you leave some oichel on it. It's not called bayr because you have some oichel on it still.
You're saying that's already a chumrah. We don't because
right. Shulchan Aruch Harav is a chumrah, but the person say we do go with the Shulchan Aruch Harav in a case where you're taking out, you want out also. The little soup around the fly you want out, it would be an instance of, but it's called psoilus. Okay, Seif Zayin. HaMechabetz told us Bayrahu. So what's Mechabetz? Mechabetz is separating the milk from the whey.
Butter from the milk.
The butter from the milk. And why is that bayr? Because you separate the milk and the butter.
Well, what would my havamina have been that it's min echad?
It's min echad, yeah.
So if it's min echad, what's the problem?
It is min echad. So it says it looks like bayr. It's not really bayr.
It's min
not even real bayr.
It's still
No, now it's 1 min. Before you separate, it's 1 min.
Yeah.
So it's not real bayr. It's told us, but it looks like bayr, and therefore the opposite. So the Alpish and Shumshamin by grazing the dvash, they used to put in Shumshamin seeds into honey, and then you want to take it out and separate it. You can't separate it because it looks like bayr.
So is that like a new parameter that is, even if it's not bayr, but if it looks like bayr?
Yeah, it's a new chumrah here. Yeah. It's a new chumrah here.
So why don't you extend that? Remember we said there's no bayr by skita because you're always dealing with min echad. Maybe perhaps taking the...
You want to know why here we don't have the heter of min echad?
Maybe taking gray orange juice from an orange, even though it's not bayr, but it looks like bayr.
A good capture. Now it's for you. What is a machber and mechaber? It's more than anything else that's min echad.
Right.
Min echad, we find a lot of chulas.
Right, so he's introducing a new restriction. Even if it's not bayr, it looks like bayr.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why the mechaber is so machber. Don't know. Okay, it says the Ramah, Hagar, Haroikek, Beruach, Shabbos, Haruach Mafaza, Haroik, Chai Mishum Zaira. So here is someone spits on Shabbos, and it's Mafaza and the Ruach, it gets separated with the wind. That's an Issa of Zaira. Zaira is what they would do, they would take what's a willowing? They would take the what? Winnowing, right. They would take the husks and the kernels and throw it up, and the husks will blow away, and the kernels will come down. So really, Zaira was a way of doing Bayr. That's how it comes into the Siman. Because Zaira is really a way of doing Bayr. So it's a big chiddush of the Ramah that if I'm not doing Bayr, it's just separating, it's also called Bayr. It's also called Zaira. They bring down, Kibbutz argues in this whole thing. If you look in the...
So I'm not sure, he's spitting, and what is he spitting?
He's spitting in the wind, and the wind is separating it.
Separating what?
The spit.
The spit is just
spit itself.
like
The heavier components are lighter.
It's minachad though, right?
No, but
It's minachad, what's in the spit?
it's minachad, that's not emphasized nechel. There's no psailus here.
No, so...
Yeah. So
Oh, it's a different thing, this is because...
this is Zaira. It's a new Issa. He's learning Zaira has nothing to do with Bayr. That's the chiddush here.
But in Zaira, you do have a silence. When you have
Right, that's the chiddush. That's why...
it goes off.
Right, so that's why they argue on it. Hey, if you look in the Bir Halacha Divrei Maschal Mefazer, the reason why
what?
Divrei Maschal Mefazer, the Bir Halacha. So Bir Halacha says, "But Shuvas Ebekiv Siman Chaf Nestapik v'Sheifich Mayim U'atim Etzleichis Derech Haloyin." Someone who pours out some water from a plate. Derech Haloyin v'Ruach Mefazer Atipa is Echad Pain Lekan, Echad Pain Lekan Ichai Mishum Zayda. V'Helel Tzadad Harba L'Hakel. Why? Mid the Hishmitu Apaiskim HaYushami Shema Benad Le'Sfir Lehem Kain. They don't bring down this Yerushalmi. It's mashma they argue with the Yerushalmi El de Melachas Zaira Hu Ke'en Bayrer. Zaira is only like Bayrer. The Mevarim Pseilis V'Teich Eichel. Ava B'Kulei Pseilis Einei Chayev Mishum Zaira. So that's why Kibbutz argues on the whole thing. Zaira was when you had Eichel and you had a Pseilis. When you have someone spits out and all that there is all Pseilis, and the wind separates it, that's not called Zaira. And this is another chiddush. The Bir Halacha va'af v'das Ramah yesh letzadei du davke beroik. It's only by spit. Why? The Kamoy de ein disha u'ma'amer ela begadulei karka kain ein Zaira ela begadulei karka va'adam nikra gadulei karka. A person is called gadulei karka. That's why the Yerushalmi said it by his spit. It's called Zaira. Avaloi b'mayim delei have gadulei karka. Water, you take water and you pour it out, it's not called gadulei karka, so there's no isser of Zaira.
How does he
You
come
can
to
flick
an
water
oven?
into the wind, but not spit.
Right.
How does he come onto an oven being Gedula Karka?
A person who's a behemoth are called gadulei karka also.
Yeah, I know.
Because they eat stuff that goes from the ground. The way they grow is from eating stuff that grow from the
So if
ground.
I'm standing in the rain, then I'm Mashim Kabul Tuma.
Yeah. Not when you're alive. Alive animals also are not hopefully Kabbalah. Yeah, so that's the dinner. Zaira.
The practical shaila that comes up here is using an aerosol spray on Shabbos.
Yeah, but that's not
air freshener.
Yeah, but that's not the
Why?
the ruach.
This is Zaira.
No, it's not. It's not
No,
Zaira.
it's not. It's a koyach of the...
It's not Zaira. Yeah, Zaira's only the wind doing it.
Right.
Zaira's not sending.
Any of these sprays, I mean, that's what the
wind doesn't
write
do
about
it.
that. I mean, Rav Moshe writes about it. I mean,
No, but they say it's mutter.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But the shaila comes up, is it?
Yeah, it's not Zaira because it's not the wind doing
But
it.
it's not Zaira.
Yeah,
What
it's
is
not the wind
fan
doing it. Huh?
A fan making wind.
That could be a problem.
It's
That may-
wind. It's natural wind.
Don't spit in the fan.
Yeah, it's not to do that. Just put water in the fan and
Or
spit.
spray, like air freshener,
Yeah.
a fan blowing,
Yeah.
It could blow it and separate
Correct,
it.
correct.
Using,
So that would be Zohar.
using
That
a
would be
That would be
spray.
Zohar, because they're using the wind to
To disperse it.
but if it's not going to do the karka, it's not a problem. So it depends on what's made out of. It depends on what's made out of. If it's going to do the karka, it's more of a problem. Not going to do the karka, is more of a heter. Okay. Fine. That is Bayer. Huh?
Using a vaporizer in the room.
A vaporizer.
Yeah, you put some thing inside and you vaporize that
Yeah, so it's not the wind.
child.
It's the wind or it's
Thing, the child that
It's a fan.
it's a fan blowing it out. That's
It's an inner
right.
fan.
The matter of vaporizers. The matter of vaporizers.
Because what it's referee.
Yeah, the truth is, no, the truth is a fan. I don't know if a fan's a problem. Because the fan is pushing it out. If you're putting it in the wind of the fan, let's say the fan's blowing, right? And you put something, you spray something in where it's blowing, then it could be a problem.
The flow.
The flow of the wind.
Yeah.
But if you're putting in the fan itself, so the fan is spreading it out, so it's not the ruach that's doing it, it's not the wind that's doing it, maybe it's mutter. Maybe it's fucking mutter. Only doing it through wind is a problem, but doing it through a kli is not a problem. Okay, Siman ShiurShabbos.
Oh,
Schita.
This Chita b'Shabbos. Zeisim v'anovim, olives and grapes, also l'soichta, you're not allowed to squeeze them out on Shabbos. V'miyatzah mi'atzma masurim. So olives and grapes are things that are meant to be squeezed out. That's the get we have here. In the Gemara we have 3 levels. You have Zeisim v'anovim, that's meant to be squeezed out. It's meant to have oil and yayin. So there, since it's meant for that, it's also to squeeze it out on Shabbos. That's the Issa Schita Midaraisa. Then you have another thing, another level in the Gemara. It's called Tutim V'Rimoinim. Tutim V'Rimoinim are berries and pomegranates that they used to squeeze it out sometimes for achila. Sometimes they would eat with it. Sometimes they would use it for juice. That's an Issa D'Rabbanan. And then you have Shad Peiris, which no one ever squeezes out, and Shad Peiris is mutter l'chatchila to squeeze them out on Shabbos for the juice, because no one does it. So that's what the Mechaber says over here. Zeisim v'anovim asal l'seichtam. You're not allowed to squeeze them out on Shabbos. From yatzu mi'atzma masurim, even if the juice comes out by itself, it's still asur. Afilu lo hayu oimdim ela la'achila. Even though these olives and grapes were meant for achila, it doesn't make a difference. Any liquid that comes out of olives and grapes, since they're meant to be squeezed out, it's also to drink it on Shabbos.
but is that an union of Noilet or is that an union
No, nothing no. Schita.
Schita?
Schita is also, and if it comes out, Zovim Atzma is Issa D'Rabbanan. You're not squeeze it out on Shabbos. If it comes out by itself, it's an Issa D'Rabbanan. Right? That's midrabanan. Even though it's only meant to be eaten, still the asur. Since it's an issa d'oraisa, when you squeeze it out, therefore any juice that comes out on Shabbos, they asur. That's issa v'anovim. The tutim v'rimoinim, which the schita itself is not an issa d'oraisa. So there, also the seichtam, it's an issa d'rabanan. It depends. If it's meant to be eaten, mutter. If it's meant for a drink, then it's also to use the juice that comes out of it. All other peiros, it's mutter to squeeze them out on Shabbos because it's not called schita at all, not even with Rabbanan. 3 levels the Mechaber brings down. And we'll see soon, our fruits today come out, all of them are the middle level of Tutim V'Rimoinim. Everything that we have today, everything is squeezed out.
Even though we don't use us for squeezing.
No, today, it's fine. Every fruit is squeezed out, the juices are squeezed out. Unless you have a fruit that no one squeezes it b'chlal, then it's mutter to squeeze it out. But any fruit today, kamat, is squeezed, and therefore it's also to squeeze out the juice from it on Shabbos, and not just that, if juice came out from it, if it's meant to be squeezed, it's set aside to be squeezed, then it's awesome. But juice that comes out of it that's not meant to be squeezed is mutter. It's a big nafkamina here. You have grapes, and you cut up grapes, and the juice comes out of it. So that juice is also to drink. The muksan Shabbos, then I'll use it. You take a grapefruit or an orange, and you cut it open, and there's juice that comes out of it. That juice is mutter.
And what's left over?
It's amid la'achila. Right?
The grapes themselves, after the juice came out,
The grapes is mutter to eat.
can they be?
Yeah, the grapes can be eaten.
Yeah.
But the juice that comes out of it,
Can't
No.
touch it.
you're not allowed to drink it on Shabbos. Olives will be the same thing. Someone want to use the oil. So the grapes you have to be careful with. But everything else, even though we consider all our fruits today like tutim v'remoinim, so you cut open an orange or grapefruit and there's juice coming out of it, since it's oimid la'achila, the ones that we have in our house are meant la'achila, not l'schita, then it's mutter to drink the juice. Hagav v'makom shnagol l'schait eze peris, l'ishtais meimah, but a place where the minig is to squeeze out peris, l'ishtais meimah, machmas shama, you want to drink them as a juice, a tainug or for enjoyment, and din like a tuta v'remoinim, avalam lago, l'seichta, l'refuah, l'avad. If you squeeze it out only for refuah, ein lachosh, because it's not called a liquid. If you're squeezing it out l'refuah. L'chol zeh dafka l'schait aser, aval mutter, so this whole Seif is only talking about squeezing it out. Aval but mutter limtzais bepiv, min ha'novim, and that's take out with your mouth the juice of the grapes. Hamashka shebehen, v'kolshke mishad dvorim. You're allowed to suck it out with your mouth. V'yesh oisem limtzais bepeh ma'anovim v'chetz behem. Some people say that it's also to take it out with your mouth.
And while eating, can you reject one of it? Is it called psilus, or when you're eating, you're separating in your mouth?
Yeah, so, your mouth is good. Yeah, your mouth is good. What's in your mouth? You can take it out. Fine. So that's Seif Aleph, and like we said, our fruits today is a long Magen Avraham over here. We're not going to go through it, but basically, it comes out of the Magen Avraham. Don't shout exactly if it has to be in the place where they squeeze it out or not. But the Maisa, today, the whole world is called one thing already, because since we ship all over the place, so even though they don't squeeze it out, the fruits over here in Canada, but since these fruits are squeezed out in other countries and are shipped to Canada, so it's considered like it's squeezed. So every single fruit today that we have has a din, like tutin v'remoinim has a din that it gets squeezed. Every single fruit we have today. So if you look in the Mishnah over here, I'm not going through the whole thing, but if you look at Seif and Ches, the Mishnah Seif and Ches, in the beginning he goes through it and he says, Mashma de ba'oisem mokem oser, in the place where it squeezes out, it's oser, v'sham v'koy meshari, achem derech l'hoylech ha'mashke shel ha'peris, himokem l'mokem, oser b'chol ha'olam. If you usually transfer it, usually ship it from place to place, it's oser b'chol ha'olam. Chol zel das v'rama, aval mokem avram herich, binyan zeh u'maskanasa, dim neide lanu shebe'ezem mokem nagol l'seichtoi, the mashke aful ha'megem v'zeh u'rak miktis b'nei adam, achem shesh l'am peris, Harei v'la'ir shlema, also machmazel l'scham b'chamokaim, chen chasu cham achreinim. So we can see brings down machlekes the Ramah and the Magen Avraham. The Ramah is mashma only in the places where they squeeze it, is it aser, and also the places they ship it to, it's aser. And the Magen Avraham is mashma that once there's one place that squeezes it, even though they don't ship it to other places, it's still aser even in the places where they do not ship it to. It's not going to get to us today because anyway, today we ship all over the world, so everything is aser. At the end of that, Mishnah Berurah over there, he says, right after the Ois Yud of the Sha'ar Tziyun, he says, even places that were machmir in Sha'ar Peiris, like by us, Sha'ar Peiris we say, like Tutim V'Rimonim, Hainu Dafko Kishasoichtoi L'Shem Mashke. That's only when you're squeezing it for a mashke, then it becomes awesome. Avo Kishasoichtoi B'Kairo L'Tabel B'Yamaychel. If you're squeezing it into a kaira to dip something into it, shari, lo mikri mashke bezeh, it's not called mashke, or v'zeisim v'anovim, aser af bezeh. Zeisim v'anovim is aser, even in that case. Now what's the difference? So if you have a grapefruit that you're cutting open, and juice comes out of it, that juice is not a drink, it's not a problem, because it's not meant for shtia, it's meant for achili, you're eating the grapefruit. If you squeeze out the juice, that's something else. But if you're eating it, some people want a taina, if you have a grapefruit, I think we spoke about last time and learned also, and even though you finish, basically you ate the half a grapefruit and you squeeze out the rest of it onto a spoon, some achayim want to say it's not called issa schita, because that's achila. You're not drinking it, that's the way you eat it. You want to get everything out, that's the way you eat it.
So what's the difference between boyer and mefalik?
What do you mean? Mefalik is
also separated, no?
Yeah, so before, min echad is not called boyer. Here it's min echad.
Yeah.
Now if you look in Seif Yud Beis, also very important, we say, the Rimah brought down a machlokes, that if you moitzitz prepare, you suck it out with your mouth, it's a machlokes if it's mutter or not. So it's today. You like go and take a fruit, you're not allowed to squeeze out a fruit. You want to take a fruit, even all our fruits, also lischot. Juice that comes out by itself is mutter. How about limtzeit prepare, to suck it out with your mouth? So we bring down a machlokes. So if you look in the Mishnah Berurah over here, he says, Chayetz behem hayna afilu b'sha'at dvarim, hamavorim l'mal v'tamdei ezud esfrilei d'lagriya davazeh, miyenik me'behem d'gam shem u'shin v'afrikein osur chachamim. V'ayim be'eldi rabba, she'kosav, d'bezeisim v'anovim she'schitasa mid'araisa, ha'nochain, the right thing is, l'hachmir me'limtzais afilu b'piv, k'svara rishayna. Achroina it should be. Where it says Rishayna. Oh yeah? I mean it says Rishayna, it's a mistake. Okay. But with Sha'ar Dvarim, but other fruits, which is not Issa Deraisa, Ein L'Hachmir. U'Mistavra, Nafilu B'Zeisim V'Anovim Ein L'Hachmir Rakesh U'Derek Enika Levad, Tasha Moitzit Oisam V'Eim Esimim L'Tech Piv. Aval Mesimim L'Tech Piv, U'Moitzit HaMashke U'Mash L'Chachatzanim, so the Mishnah Berurah comes out like this. He says, Zeisim va'anovim is an issa deraisa. Sha'ar Peiris will never become an issa deraisa. It's also important to know. Even though we have fruits today, that we squeeze them out as much as Zeisim va'anovim. Oranges, there's probably more oranges squeezed than you have that are eaten. No matter how much it's squeezed out, will never get the level of Zeisim va'anovim, will always stay only in Issa d'Rabbanan. Therefore says the Mishnah Berurah over here, Sha'ar Peiris, you want to be moitzis, prepare, any pri, you want to suck it out with your mouth, and not eat the pri, mutter. Zeisim va'anovim, which is a deraisa, says you should be machmer, not to be moitzis, prepare, and then throw out the fruit. But, if you're eating the whole fruit, either sucking it out and eating it, then he's mekel, then it's mutter, you don't have to be machmer. That's called derech achila b'kach. So you want to suck out grapes, which I don't think it's on the gay today, no one really sucks out grapes. For other fruits sometimes people will suck it out. Well,
mangoes, the sucking mangoes.
So mangoes is mutter. Mangoes is mutter because it's when the Mishnah Berurah comes out that it's Sha'ar Peiris is mutter. But Zeisim va'anovim, a person should not suck it out on Shabbos because of this chumrah. We'll stop here today.